ceased. The night prior, April 22, 2025, the defendant and the victim engaged in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages. Messages reveal the victim's jealousy over defendant's relationships with other women, as the defendant led her to believe that they had a future together. She became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with the defendant to end his career and destroy his life. Defendant's first studio album was due to be released on April 25th. He had an emerging multi-million-dollar career already in progress and multiple endorsements that were highly profitable. At approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23rd, the defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from her Lake Elsinore home to his residence. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at the defendant's Hollywood Hills home around 10:10 p.m. At approximately 10:30, the defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The people contend that this was part of the defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career as she had threatened very soon after her arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. At no time did he call law enforcement or 911 or take her to an emergency room to attempt to save her life. Despite knowing she was dead and her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show that the defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. In fact, the defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose of her property and destroy evidence. At approximately 11:30 on April 23, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone, asking where she was. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after the victim's vicious murder. The defendant drove his Tesla north on the 101 freeway to Santa Marcos Pass Road, SR 154. He returned home early the following morning on April 24th before going to a radio interview for the release of his album that week. He sent 2 additional text messages to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, the defendant never attempted to contact her again. Tellingly, the defendant subsequently purchased tools to carry out his plot to dismember and dispose of the victim's body. On April 24, 2025, the defendant ordered a shovel from Home Depot that was delivered to his home from Postmates. On May 1, 2025, the defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. On May 5th, the defendant ordered and Amazon subsequently delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool to his home. He made these purchases under the fake name Victoria Mendez. On May 8th, the defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returns to the area again on May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated site off of SR 154 where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January of 2026. Additionally, on July 7th, 2025, the defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a burn cage